I'd like to welcome you here today for this special event. My name is Buddy Lewis, and I'm the director of the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Today we join the Mothers Against Drunk Driving and the Tennessee Highway Patrol in a shared mission to save lives across the Tennessee roadways. I would like to thank the media and our partners that are attending today for helping to share our message. This time of year, families gather for the holiday season for fellowship. However, this time of year also is a reminder of the loved ones that we have lost. There will be empty chairs at dinner tables on Christmas Day. There will be emptiness all around families across our state because of the fact that people chose to drink and drive. Many of those people whose lives were lost were at the cost of a drunk driver. Our purpose today is to remind and to urge Tennesseans to never drive drunk, always choose a sober ride wherever you're going. Throughout December, the Tennessee Highway Safety Office is partnering with state and local law enforcement agencies across the state to crack down on drunk driving. Officers will be executing sobriety checkpoints, saturation patrols, and high visibility enforcement. Remember to make the right choice is what the message we want to get out. To make the right choice and never drive and drink. At this time, I would like to introduce our next speaker, who is the MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, State Advisory Board Chairman, Mr. Jim Camp. Mr. Camp.
Thank you, Director Lewis. Welcome. Tonight we remember. Tonight we will be remembering the victims of a senseless and selfish crime. Tonight we will be remember those who lost their lives at the hands of individuals who committed this selfish and senseless crime. We're going to honor the survivors of those senseless and selfish crimes, and we're going to remember those who survived with serious injuries, physical injuries, emotional scars, mental scars, lost loved ones, all because of a senseless and selfish act. We're also here to honor them, all of them. And by remembering them every year, to remind everyone of the consequences of impaired driving. We're also here to honor the women and the men who wear the badge. We're here to honor law enforcement officers who every day, every night, 24 hours, they risk their lives to save lives. You don't have to look on social media, you don't have to look in the newspaper, you don't have to watch a television news show to see almost every month of some law enforcement officer who's injured or killed at the hands of an impaired driver. One of our own, Sergeant Vincent Chirosi, just this last year, on our MADD board. What that tells us is no one is immune, no one is protected. And because it's such a senseless and selfish act, it's difficult for us to understand it, and it's difficult for many of us to appreciate how much risk it really poses. Because so many of us convince ourselves that one last drink won't matter. So many of us think that we can handle it. We're not impaired, we're just maybe a little bit buzzed. You know that the American Medical Association some years ago issued a white paper that said that every individual Every human being is impaired to some degree at .04. The legal limit is .08, nearly twice that. But everyone is impaired at .04 to some degree. We have to remember that this holiday season. We have to remember those folks who have lost their lives, whose lives were changed forever, because these are the most innocent of victims. You know, victims of other homicides, intentional homicides, most always have some knowledge that they're at risk. If someone's engaged in criminal activity, they know that their life is in jeopardy, that they may suffer serious injury or loss of life. If someone goes to a high crime area in town, they know that they're at risk. If someone is the target of someone else, such as a stalker or a victim of domestic violence, through no fault of their own, but because of the nature, the psychology of the cycle of violence, once they're battered, they know that they're at risk. But if your mother or your father or your husband or your wife or your sister or your brother or your grandma or your grandpa or your kids or your grandkids get behind the wheel of the car and drive to the grocery store or to the mall, doing everything right, obeying all the laws, driving sober, they have no idea that their lives at risk. And when that impaired driver who's drank a six-pack of beer and taken a couple of oxys crosses the center line and hits their car, changes their lives, takes lives, changes the lives of everyone around them forever, who's more innocent than they are? That's why we're here. We're here to remind everyone that drinking, using drugs, and driving is a crime. And if you hurt or kill somebody, it's a felony crime. And if you do it repeatedly, it's a felony crime. And if you kill somebody, you're going to go to prison. Because we have hundreds of thousands of victims. And we need to stop it now. If you're going to drink, call an Uber, call a Lyft, call a cab, have a sober friend drive you. Remember what's at stake. And to all those victims and all those families of victims and all those law enforcement officers, we remember you, we honor you, and we are grateful for you and for your memory. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Camp. Our next speaker is Lieutenant Bill Miller, Public Information Officer for the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Lieutenant.
Thank you, Director. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And thank you, Director Camp, Director Lewis. Thank you, Tennessee Highway Safety Office and Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. Drinking and driving, just as Mr. Camp stated, is a senseless, selfish crime that is 100%. 100%. If I can go higher than 100, I would. Preventable. People who choose to drink and drive not only make that choice for themselves as they're behind the wheel, they're making that choice for you, your loved ones, your friends, your family. Everyone and anything that you ever cared about in your life, a drunk driver will take it away from you in a blink of an eye, with no remorse in many cases. In 2010, then Lieutenant Colonel Derek Stewart, now Colonel of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, had a meeting with retired Colonel Tracy Trott. They discussed what was it that the Tennessee Highway Patrol had to do to get back in the game to make Tennessee a much safer state. What do we have to do to combat, and ladies and gentlemen, it is a battle. And when we say combat, we mean it. It is a battle. What do we have to do to combat drunk drivers, impaired drivers, alcohol or drug influenced drivers? And we had to get back into the game. We had to do what we was not doing very well at that time in 2010. 2010 was our base year. And at that time, we'd only issued 3,376 DUIs, but yet we had over 6,000 plus alcohol-related crashes. Totally unacceptable. For an agency that is as large and as professional as Tennessee Highway Patrol, that was unacceptable. So 2000 year was the launching point, a reset, as you would say, to getting us back into the game. We've made many strides in safety in Tennessee roadways. 2011, we reached a historical marker in our state's history. 2011, after that reset, the state had the lowest number of traffic deaths in our state since 1963. We've made huge strides, but yet we see today our traffic fatalities are on the rise again. Alcohol arrests are continuing to rise. Alcohol-related crashes are continuing to rise. But we still continue to make huge strides in seatbelt safety, as we're nearly 90% compliance in our state, voluntary compliance with seatbelt usage. We all know seatbelts make a tremendous difference in keeping us safe, but we're nearly 90% compliance, yet people still choose to drink and drive. When there are so many options available to you today, from Uber, Lyft, taxis, designated drivers. Be the friend, be the loved one, be the person you say that you are to your friend and loved ones, and be a designated driver. It's no longer cool, and it never was cool, to drink and drive. And it's not a passage of adulthood. We can't turn on our radio stations today and listen to any genre of music without hearing some type of glorification of drinking and driving, alcohol use, or drug usage. And it's of all genres of music. It's publicized. It's made popular in our culture. And it is no way, in any shape, form, or fashion, popular or fun or cool to bury a loved one due to a crime that is 100% avoidable. And that is drinking and driving, taking drugs and driving. Ladies and gentlemen, we need you. The Highway Patrol, any law enforcement agency alone cannot stop drinking and driving. It's a law enforcement issue, but it is a community-based issue. It is a mother, father. It is the churches. It is whatever religious leader you are. It is your issue to help us to join this fight and stop this just ridiculous, selfish crime that has taken so many people off our roadways. Nearly 1,000 people every year die due to alcohol or drug-related crashes, fatalities in Tennessee. You ask what you can do. Talk to your children. Talk to them and tell them that if they are out with friends and family, if someone has been drinking, do not get in a car and ride with them. Call you. Call someone who is sober. Come pick you up. There's a lot that you can do, and we need you to get in the game with us. Again, this is a crime that is senseless and selfish. It's 100% avoidable. We are so grateful Tennessee Highway Patrol is to the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and to the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers and many other organizations just like them who educate and inform and prevent so many senseless crimes from happening because of their information that they share. Again, we thank you so much for coming. And as you're going home tonight, drive safely, and please think about your loved ones. And if you do have one drink, never drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Next speaker is someone who's going to share a special story. Her name is Miss Dawn Kruse, and I'm honored to meet her today, and I'm anxious to hear her story. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dawn Kruse, and I'm from Collierville, Tennessee, which is right outside of Memphis. And I'm on the MADD Tennessee Advisory Board, and I'm here to share my story with you about my daughter, Maddie. This is all about her. On May 31st, 2015 was a day that changed my family's life forever, and one we will never forget. It was a Sunday morning, so I woke up about 8:30, grabbed my cup of coffee, went and sat on my couch, and I waited for my husband and my son to get up for the day. And Maddie was at a friend's house because they were leaving that morning at 6 a.m. to go to a beach trip to Florida. So her friend Caroline, and two of her friends, Kara and Rachel, stayed at Caroline's grandma's house, and they just wanted to have a big old slumber party before they left. And while I was waiting for my boys to get up, I kept hearing my husband's phone ding, my phone ding, and I thought, well, that's kind of weird because it's a Sunday morning. No one ever calls us. So I went and checked. Ted had 3 missed calls, and I had a bunch of missed calls. And so I checked my voicemail, and one of them was from Caroline saying, "Hi, Mrs. Kruse, we've been in an accident." The other 2 voicemails were from the EMT, letting me know where they were taking my daughter. Immediately, as a mom would, I called my daughter's phone. I called Maddie's phone. And of course, it went right to voicemail. But I thought, okay. So I ran, got my husband up saying, okay, Maddie's been in an accident. She's in the hospital, and we need to go. And we got dressed, and then we had to go wake up my son, Jack, who at the time was 14, to let him know what was going on. But we didn't have any other details. All we knew is she was in an accident. And while we were driving to Methodist Hospital in Olive Branch, Mississippi, the whole time I thought, oh, she just broke her leg. She's going to be fine, and we're going to bring her home that day. We got to the hospital, and once we got there, we immediately were taken to a private waiting room along with Rachel's parents, who was on the trip with Maddie. And soon after that, the doctor and the EMT came in, and we all introduced ourselves. We sat down, and the doctor turned right to us and said, "I am so sorry your daughter did not make it." After screams, after crying, I thought, this can't be true. No, not my daughter, not our family. They've got the wrong girl. I need to see her and make sure it's her. And right then, Rachel's parents were, well, what about my daughter? And the doctor was like, I'm not sure, but I'll let you know. We later found out that Rachel was killed on impact and was still at the accident scene. The doctor led us to go see Maddie as she was in a room by herself. And the doctors were so sweet. They gave us as much time as we needed in the room with her. We were able to hold her, hug her, kiss her, and her hair smelled so good. I'll still remember that smell. And he gave us enough time. We were able to call our family and our friends. And then we were like, what about our son? So we immediately called some friends, and they were so sweet. And they brought Jack to the hospital because we did not want him to find out via social media, because we knew at this time it was out there. Once we got home later that afternoon, we received a phone call from the detective who handled the case. He let me know, and my husband know, that the driver who hit the minivan with the girls was drunk. I remember screaming, and I remember thinking, this can't be true. A drunk driver killed my daughter? There's no way. It was 6 a.m. How can this be? And at this time, we had no idea what happened. We never thought to ask when we were in the hospital. We had no details. We were just worried about our daughter. So we put him on speakerphone, and the detective told us exactly what happened. Caroline's grandma was driving the minivan on Highway 78 about 2 miles south of Olive Branch, Mississippi, and they were heading to Florida. At 6:20 a.m., a car going at a high rate of speed clipped the back corner of the van while trying to pass them. The van lost control, veered off into the ditch, hit a utility pole, kept going until it came to a stop. And like I said before, Rachel died on impact, and Maddie went to the hospital but passed away at 8:08 a.m. at Methodist Hospital. Both were in the back of the van. At this point, the detective gave us even more disturbing news. His blood alcohol level was 0.17, and this was several hours after the collision. Experts told us at the trial that at the time he hit the van, it was 0.2, and when he left Beale Street, he probably had 0.24. And like I said, he was on Beale Street partying with his friends, and he made the decision to drive home to Mississippi. And we also found out about he had a DUI record. He had 5 first-time DUI offenses. He was on probation for his 6th DUI, and the 7th DUI was on May 31st, 2015, the day he killed our girls. And these were all first-time offenses. Once we knew this, we knew we had a long road ahead of us. But first we knew we had to bury our Maddie, and then we had to figure out how to go on life without her. Life as we know it is never the same, and it will never be the same. For the first year, I pretty much cried about every day because of the ache and the emptiness in me and the guilt for living every day without her. The only reason I got up every day was because of my son, and that's the reason I still get up to this day. And holidays are still difficult, especially December is the hardest. And my mind keeps thinking of everything that she has lost and that she will continue to miss in our lifetime. Maddie just finished her junior year of high school, and she was so excited for her senior year. My Maddie never got to graduate. She never got to play shortstop on her high school softball team again, which was her greatest love. Maddie never got to have her first kiss, nor have her first boyfriend. Maddie never got to go to college to the University of Missouri, which was her college of choice. Maddie never saw her brother graduate from high school, nor she'll never get to see him get married. This year Maddie would be a senior in college, and I'll never know what she was going to do with her career, but yet I have to sit there and watch all of her friends graduate from college and see where they're going, and that makes it very hard on me. I will never be able to go wedding dress shopping with my daughter, or will I never get to watch her dad walk her down that aisle. I'll never get to hear her and Jack arguing upstairs with each other or cracking up at each other when they crack jokes. I'll never get to see her sweet smile. I'll never hear her cackle again, and I'll never receive another gigantic hug from my sweet Maddie. It is so quiet now in our house, and my son lost his best friend, all because someone decided to get behind the wheel after partying on Beale Street. My life, my husband's life, and my son's life, once again, will never be the same. MADD has been there from day one on this journey with us. From coming over to Memphis, sitting at a Starbucks with me and my family, and just letting us talk and grieve. Then they also let us know what was going to happen in court. And then when the court happened, a representative was there sitting with us, letting us know everything that the judge was telling us. And that was so nice. And with the help of MADD, state troopers, police officers, and lawmakers, I hope to help make changes so no other family has to go through the daily pain of losing a loved one to drunk or drugged driving. Thank you.
How do you follow that? Our prayers will be failed. That concludes this press conference, but it does not conclude the cause that we're here for. We hope that we can prevent this from happening again to another family. I've lost friends because of drunk drivers, as we may all have. And the thing that I want to make clear is that we're here for you. We're here for everyone that has faced this issue in their lives. We're here to make certain that people who decide to violate the law, because when they get behind the wheel of a vehicle, after they've been drinking, that vehicle becomes a weapon. At the end of this press conference, if anyone wants to talk to any of us, feel free to do so. But we appreciate the media being here. We appreciate all of our partners being here. It's been an honor and a pleasure to meet you. Sorry under these conditions. That concludes our press conference. Thank you very much.